Jason Wells here with MLM Complete Package, and I want to talk about motivation in MLM. And I'll start off by telling you just a short story on our convention. So months ago, Chris and I went to our company's international convention, and I sat with a few downline who have been in our company for a few years. Most of them haven't put a whole lot of work into the business. You know, it doesn't matter how much training we provide or the resources and the guidance that we can give them. If they're not putting the effort in, obviously they're not going to get anywhere. And they know that. But for most of them, this was their first convention. And the question I often ask people is, how does it make you feel when you see other people having success? So maybe they're at the event, they talk to some people who've been in as long as them and have achieved quite a bit of success, or maybe they've seen people up on stage, whatever. You get the idea that they've been exposed to people that have been in the business as long as them, but haven't, they haven't really done much, and they can see that these people have. So what happens normally when I ask them, what are you thinking? 90% of the time, I get that politically correct answer, which is, I think it's great. They have achieved success. It's awesome. And I usually say something to the effect of, I know you're happy for them. And let's face it, most good people are going to be happy for other people that have achieved success. You don't want to let jealousy creep in, because jealousy is not a good feeling, and it's not a good or healthy way to look at things. But you still want to know, how do they really feel? Because let's face it, there's got to be something nagging at them if there's any competitive spirit. And so basically, I'm asking for their real feelings, and usually the response I get, what I call the honest response, is, well, it sucks. It sucks that it's not a place of jealousy. It's a competitive place. It's like, I could have been doing the same thing and I didn't, and shame on me. And so normally what I ask people is, and you can put yourself in their shoes right now when I'm saying this. What is it going to feel like next year if you're in the same spot? And people are like, I do not want to let that happen again. And so I'm not saying this works for everyone, but the reality is, and I'm making a generalization here, but generally I found in my experience over the years of building MLM that the achievers are the people that have a bit of a competitive spirit. In some way or another, they've done something competitive in their lives where they wanted to be the best, or be on the top, or be somebody that is respected for their effort. And those type of people don't ever want to feel that way again. So normally what I say to people is, okay, we all have those moments where we don't feel like building the business. And this business is about consistency and effort. So my question for you is, are you going to use that as motivation in those moments when you just don't feel like building the business? Basically what I'm saying to people is, remember how you felt last year at convention. And just remember that if you choose not to do anything this week or today, that could lead to you being the person that sits there again, having that sucky feeling, for lack of a better term. So I know for me personally, knowing my own talent level, what I was capable of, thinking back to when I was new to MLM, I just was upset that I didn't put in the work, because I saw a lot of other people that had been in as long as me that had, they'd put the work in, and they'd achieve things. So I wouldn't call this training. I would call it more motivation. And we like to train like on nuts and bolts type of stuff, but I want you to take from this a nuts and bolts perspective, even though this is more of a motivational training. When you're working with yourself or your downline, this is a strategy you can use in a nuts and bolts sense to motivate your downline, to get them plugged into what it is that's missing for them. And to remind them that when they have those moments where they don't want to build the business, to remember those, I guess, painful times, like where it's like, I don't want to ever feel this way again. That's what you want to do. So what I'll say is if you're somebody who wants to get on track, but you're having trouble getting on track, maybe you don't know how to organize your time, maybe you're struggling in some sense with, how to do the ABC 1, 2, 3. First, if you're somebody that's having a hard time organizing your time, our goal setting course on our website's really good for that. Believe it or not, goal setting and task management is a very important part, but it can be taken too far or not far enough, and I think our course is a pretty good balance of that. And it's talked about from an MLM perspective, whereas most of the goal setting things that I've seen out there are just generic. They don't really speak to MLM, which I think matters. The other thing is, if you're not taking action because you're lost and you just don't even know where to start, and a lot of people out there are like that. It's not that they're lazy. It's just that they're not moving ahead because they don't even know where to start. You need to admit to yourself if you're that person. And if you are, go get our Complete Networker course. That's going to do two things for you. One, you'll get a good general overview of what you need to do to get on track. And two, you'll get a 20-minute consultation with Chris or I once you complete the course, so we can see what you got out of it and move you in the right direction. So that's it for this week. Again, not a real nuts and bolts training, but you can take this and use it as a nuts and bolts training for yourself and your team.